many people have to die?
Stop denials with AI!
How many people have to die?
Stop denials with AI!
How many people have to die?
Stop denials with AI!
How many people have to die?
Stop denials with AI!
How many people have to die?
Denials with AI!
How many people have to die?
Stop denying! People are dying! Stop denying!
People are dying.
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 People are dying!
So we say free Luigi, you say free healthcare. Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
All right, everyone. Good morning. We are live in New York City, right outside the courthouse, here on Center Street. Smash that like button, share this live stream. Jordan is on his way. He will be here in just a few minutes.
Free healthcare.
Free Luigi!
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 Free healthcare.
The people united will never be defeated!
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
The people united!
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 Will never be defeated. When I say free, you say Luigi. Free.
Luigi! Luigi!
I say free, you say Luigi. Free.
Luigi!
Luigi. Free.
Luigi!
Free. Luigi. Well, Luigi, free. Abolish the death penalty. We, the people.
Want Luigi free! Abolish the death penalty!
We, the people. Want Luigi free. Abolish the death penalty. We, the people. Want Luigi free. Abolish the death penalty. We, the people. Want Luigi free. Abolish the death penalty. We, the people. Want Luigi free. Abolish the death penalty. Woo! Woo! Free Luigi!
One struggle, one fight! Healthcare is a human right! One struggle, one fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight!
Healthcare is a human right.
One
Struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right.
All right, everyone. I'm just going to step out for a minute. So, again, we are live outside the criminal court building in New York City. This is Luigi Mangione's trial. Why don't you introduce yourself? Yeah, okay. Sure. All right, everybody. I'm going to introduce you to Brianna, and she will talk about the case a little bit.
All right, you guys, we are here for the preliminary hearing for Luigi Mangione, his defense attorneys, and the judge deciding what evidence will be used. We have a gun that was found during investigations, and we have a manifesto. They're not sure if they're going to be able to use it or not. We were told there was no room in the courthouse for the public. I just got a text message from inside the courtroom. There were 4 empty rows that are not being used, so only press was able to get in, no public, which is kind of unprecedented. There's definitely a party going on outside. People are protesting. They're chanting. Not a ton of heartwarming stories being told about why it's important to have regulations with AI in healthcare, but the passion is here nonetheless.
And what's your background? Kind of introduce yourself.
Sure.
Talk about what you do.
I'm an independent journalist. I've covered a lot of the Me Too trials: Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Diddy, Danny Masterson. So this is my first murder trial, and it's really interesting timing to compare the reaction to the death of Brian Thompson to the death of Charlie Kirk. We are certainly a nation divided right now, and the reactions to these 2 men's assassinations are certainly showing the differences in our country right now.
And where can they follow your work?
You can find me online, Substack, and Instagram as Jaggyish, Jaggyish. Thank you.
Will we get the Epstein files?
Will we get the Epstein files? No, I don't think we're going to get the Epstein files. Do you think we're going to get the Epstein files? No, I think it's a distraction. I say that Jeffrey Epstein's the new John Bonet. I think they want us to just talk about him for decades and decades and decades of like news distractions, like junk food, to distract from what's actually going on. Is that a good answer? Okay, sick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's nice talking to you both. I'll sit in the middle. All right, everybody, smash that like button, share this live stream. Jordan will be here in a few minutes. Again, that is Brianna. She is a reporter. She's been in the court for a lot of trials. So give her a follow.
One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right. Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials with AI. How many people have to die? Stop denials.
Like there are more people inside now. There's a bigger security presence.
Come on the. Yeah, cool. So just
wait, should we go somewhere to the side?
Yeah, come over here.
I don't really see my demos up. I think someone will do it there. If that's like a setting or something.
This is perfect right here.
Cool.
It's much quieter.
Hi.
So just introduce yourself and why are you out here today? Why is it important for you?
My name is Shalani King. I am once more protesting against the billionaire overlord ruling class.
Sorry, go ahead. And just why is it important for you? Do you have any personal stories about the healthcare industry and why you're out here.
Well, again, like most New Yorkers, like most Americans, I either have had my own healthcare horror story or I know someone with a healthcare horror story. So yeah, I would say I've had experience in terms of knowing people who have had healthcare disparities, knowing people who have had their premiums, and people who have not been able to get insurance for whatever reason. And I'm here to protest that. To be honest, I'm also working on a film about black women in medicine and the disparities they go through trying to receive healthcare. So yeah, I'm very well versed with the fact that there's a lot of corruption. There is a lot of issues with the current American healthcare system, and I'm here to protest that as well. But I'm also going to call out the billionaire ruling class and big companies for their involvement in these disparities and systemic injustices.
I mean, we're in the richest country in the world, and yet we can't even be taken care of. We don't have health care. What are your thoughts about that?
Healthcare is a human right, but so is due process. And the fact that the billionaires think that they don't need to afford us human rights, the fact that they think that they have afforded to be able to skip us out on that or exploit us, or like, I think that's more of the issue right now. Is a lot of these super rich people see things that are necessities, that see things that are like literally constitutional rights as suggestions, and they go, "I'll just pay the fine," instead of actually like taking care and doing their duty to their fellow man in society, fellow humans in society.
Right, yeah. There's no accountability, and the fines are easier for them to pay than actually taking care of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's even easier to pay than going through the proper channels, going through like the justice system, going through what's right. It's easier to just pay the fines for corruption. And that's how they get away with all they get away with, and that's why we got here, where we have this case that has a lack of evidence, has a lot of dubious circumstances around it in terms of Miranda rights, in terms of due process, and that's because the billionaires are like, oh, we forgot, we have to play by the rules, we can't just do this to everyone. So yeah, but I'm glad because a lot of minorities has probably been happening to, a lot of marginalized individuals have probably been having this exact same thing happen, but they haven't had the attention and the platform that Luigi has. So I'm glad we're probably bringing some attention to this and to the exploitation of the billionaire working class. You are not the billionaires. You are not the elites. It is unlikely that you will marry into one. It's unlikely that you will become one. So understand which side of the war you are on. You are with the working class. And who do you want to see become justice? The billionaires or the working class?
What was his name again?
Jelani King. You can follow me on We Out Here Productions, WEOUTCHEA PRODUCTIONS_. Look out for our new short film, Sly Guy 35, coming soon.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Take care, absolutely.
Hi.
All right, guys, so let me just show you the line outside the courthouse here. People are starting to go in. Don't worry, guys. As soon as Jordan gets here, he's going to be doing much better interviews than I am right now. It is too early. I haven't had coffee yet.
One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight. Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
One struggle, one fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Free Luigi!
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi!
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi!
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi!
Free Luigi. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Guys, corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! This corporate greed has got to go!
Oh, look who's here.
Hello. Hey, folks, Jordan. Hey. Hey, folks. Jordan, we're here in front of New York criminal court. This is the New York State criminal case against Luigi Mangione. It potentially, they might set a trial date against Mangione today. And obviously, looks like a few dozen supporters of Mangione, also healthcare reform advocates, and obviously in the country the temperature has skyrocketed. But to be clear, you know, the corporate media has tried to paint a lot of these folks out here, and they've been out here for several court cases, as fangirls, fanboys. The majority of people out here are out here because we have a predatory, murderous, for-profit health insurance scam system. They're not out here, you know, because they're up at night idolizing Luigi Mangione, as I've always said. So this is unlike the corporate media, who most of them are standing down there, not actually interviewing folks. They don't really care about people's struggling, horror stories, etc. We're here to talk to the people. Let me give you just a couple reminders here of this case, and then we'll talk to people. He's been charged with 11 counts in New York, 1 count of murder in the first degree, in furtherance of terrorism, which we've established. I mean, there's literally mass shooters who have not been charged with terrorism, but he's been charged with terrorism. 2 counts of murder in the second degree, 1 of which is charged as killing as an act of terrorism. 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. 4 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the third degree. 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree. And you also have, basically they're tacking the terrorism onto the indictment to allow the district attorney to upgrade the murder charges from second to first degree. It's pretty unprecedented. I mean, typically terrorism charges in New York are against like serial killers, cop killers, not, you know, a random shooting on a curb. They're treating him like a serial killer, basically, which you kind of have to go to who the victim was. The CEO of the most profitable health insurance company in the country, which, by the way, currently, corporate media is not going into details, currently is under investigation by the Department of Justice. I wouldn't hold my breath. It's the Department of Justice. Maybe they'll get a fine, United Healthcare. But they are up under criminal investigation for, I mean, if I did it, I'd be in jail. But Medicare Advantage fraud, preying on the elderly, you know, fraud in their Medicare Advantage program. So I'll give you more details later. Let's show you what people are saying and interview folks.
Who's the real terrorist?
UHC!
We, the people, want Luigi free! Who's the real terrorist?
UHC!
We, the people, want Luigi free! Who's the real terrorist?
UHC!
We, the people, want Luigi free! Who's the real terrorist?
UHC!
Fuck UHC! Fuck United Healthcare! Fuck them! They shouldn't exist! They shouldn't exist! None of them should exist.
Can I ask you something? The corporate media is not really focusing on the fact that United Healthcare is under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice for fraudulent practices, preying on seniors. They only want to paint everyone here as fangirls, fanboys, etc. Talk about your obvious distaste and hatred towards United Healthcare.
Well, I mean, they're responsible for like 1/3 of all claims. They spend the most money. They're the most powerful health insurance company in the world. They spend the most money lobbying in D.C. We can't get shit done when special interest has such a hold of D.C. Voting only does so much, you know, in a political system that's so controlled by money. We all have been fucked over or know someone who's been fucked over by the healthcare system. We spend so much more than any other nation with like nothing to show for it. 68,000 a year. That's 22 9/11s in 1 year.
You know, what I find even more troubling, obviously the media has been focused on Mangione, but I mean the numbers now, outside of health insurance, I mean 60% of Americans, a new research study showed, say they don't even have a standard quality of life. Can't even afford a medium quality of life.
Go on GoFundMe, and like 90% of the stuff on there is people begging for money. They'll be like, my kid has cancer, I need money. Like, that's the last thing you should be worrying about in a country with the highest GDP in the world. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
As far as Mangione, obviously people feel differently on both sides, but I mean, in New York, they usually charge folks with terrorism for like serial killers. If you kill a cop, it seems very unprecedented that they have charged him with terrorism, and there's been a lot of abnormalities in the case, like the prosecutors accidentally eavesdropped on his call with his lawyer, accidentally Aetna provided his whole medical records. It seems like a lot of unusual things are going on in this case in particular.
Well, it's unusual, but it's for a reason. They want him dead. They want to make an example out of him. But I mean, you're better off being a rich pedophile in this country. They get treated better than he does. School shooters get treated better than he does. I'm so fucking done with it. And it's like, it feels like it's just never going to get better. People got to get pissed off about it.
And what about you personally? I've talked to a lot of people with it directly themselves, their family. Have you kind of had a healthcare horror story in your life?
Personally, no, but my family, yes. My mom, she's had back issues for most of her life. And the amount of times she's told me they go to the hospital and they have to sit in the parking lot and decide, is it worth going in or not? Just the cost. They wait. She would wait till it gets as bad as possible to go in and get treatment. And usually by then it's worse. So imagine for stuff like cancer. It's like people put it off and it kills them. Even with insurance, there's no such thing as good insurance. All insurance sucks. They're bloodsuckers. They're parasites. You pay them all this fucking money and they don't do shit. But United Health is the worst when it comes to that, by far.
By the way, United Health, you didn't really hear this from the media, but they were using AI. Brian Thompson was CEO when they accelerated their use of AI to a 90% error rate, a 90% error rate of denying claims using AI. So, all the hubbubaloo the Trump administration is handing out hundreds of billions of dollars to companies to use AI, well, they're wrongly denying claims using AI.
And you think with all the fucking money they'd have that they would, at least do it themselves and not leave it up to a fucking robot. But, I mean, it's just so scummy, and healthcare should never be a business. It should never. We're the only country in the world where it's like this, or at least that I know of. On this scale, it's really ridiculous.
Let me ask you a broader question, because obviously since last week, the murder of Charlie Kirk, the right-wing activist, obviously there's a gigantic fever swamp on the internet right now. The right is kind of calling on a crusade against the radical left, so to speak. But what I find so interesting, whether it's Kirk or other right-wingers online, they focus a lot on cultural stuff, Black Lives Matter, transgender, immigrant. Yeah, well, one second. But they focus a lot on cultural stuff, immigration, abortion, this and that. Sharp sign. Thanks, man.
Recording too? Always recording, yeah. How many people have to die? We're back? All right, you're back.
All right, we went down for a minute, hopefully better now. Smash the like button, share this live stream. It's early. The views probably aren't so great because typically in the morning, our views aren't so great. So please share this live stream. Smash the like button. We really appreciate super chats. And as always, we need your support. We have been out here at every single court case for Mangione because these people deserve a voice. While the corporate media paint them as terrorist supporters, fangirls and boys, we're out here to tell their stories and show that there is a mass movement in America for a humane health care system, a policy that is about health and people over profit. Smash the like button, share this live stream, support us if you can. StatusCoup.com/join.
Here we go. What do we want? When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! What do we want?
Free Luigi!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Free Luigi!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Free Luigi!
When do we want it?
Now!
And if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
and we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't
Good to see you.
get it,
Shut it down!
So I'm going to try to kind of sprinkle in interviews here. I've spoken with you in the past too. Good to see you again. Tell me, I mean, this is probably your second, third time out here. You've seen since we last spoke, I mean, very unusual things going on in this case. Accidentally, the prosecutors accidentally got his over 120 pages of Mangione's medical records. They also accidentally eavesdropped on his conversation with his lawyer. They won't really provide an outline of the evidence for seeking the death penalty. And they're seeking the death penalty, as we've talked about. I mean, they haven't charged mass shooters with terrorists in this country. In New York, in particular, they usually charge terrorism on serial. Okay. So I have to confirm it, but the crowd is saying they dropped the terrorism charge, which is what I was just asking about. So, assuming that's confirmed, what are your thoughts that the terrorism charge was dropped?
I think that's justified. I think that terrorism is a label that we've used basically as a weapon since around the time of 9/11 and the Patriot Act. We basically used it at our disposal in order to be able to label people who are viewed as enemies of the state, even going as far back as the Black Panthers were labeled as terrorists. So I think that it's only fair and just that it's been dropped. I think that...
Hold on one second. Show that. Yeah. So, a lot going on here, and Colin, if you're watching, change the headline to breaking terrorism charges dropped against Luigi Mangione. But just confirm it before you do that. Look on social media, because sometimes things, get misconstrued. But breaking terrorism charges dropped against Luigi Mangione. So I was asking you about it. What I always found incredible is, like, whether you agree with what he allegedly did or not, and there's a lot of people that don't, I mean, terrorism, that's a very slippery slope when you start charging for, like, individual killings, terrorism. I mean, that could be abused all over the place. And frankly, in writing, which the government leaked to the media, he allegedly wrote, I only wanted to do it targeted to avoid killing innocents. Never sounded like terrorism to me. Do you think this charging him with terrorism in the first place was basically because of the victim? He was one of the wealthiest CEOs in America.
I think that they only viewed it as terror because it was against someone that was rich and powerful, and they thought that they all started quaking in their boots and, hiring all their private security teams. But, when an innocent person or an innocent child is gunned down on the street, that's not terrorism. Even when they've written a neo-Nazi manifesto, that's not terrorism. So, like I said, terrorism is a label that was created to fit the needs of the state, to label people who are viewed as enemies of the state. And I think that anyone who tries to challenge the existing relationship between the government and corporate healthcare is considered a threat to a lot of people's campaign donations.
I would argue, to be honest, I'd love your thoughts. When you create a system where families could lose children, loved ones, if they can't pay, that would terrify me. What's the definition of terrorism, which is basically to infill societal fear, terror? It's pretty terrifying to basically create a system of essentially SOL.
I feel like, in my opinion, when you see all of the terrorism that's being inflicted right now by the U.S. government onto its own people, whether it be ICE literally hiring bounty hunters to black bag people on the streets wearing masks and grab them and just send them off to El Salvador, whether or not they're a U.S. citizen or whether or not they have documentation or not, when you see the way that the National Guard is literally flooding D.C. to pick up trash and harass homeless people. I just think that, like, it's really hard for people to place value in the justice system when we've seen the way that other people have been able to get away with not being punished for actions that they really should have been punished for, like 34 felony counts, who's now currently our president. So
I'd like to go through some statistics, which the corporate hacks over there, the corporate media aren't going to go. Currently, the bottom 60% of U.S. households don't make enough money to afford a minimal quality of life. U.S. homelessness hit a record high last year. It was up 18%. A U.S. household now needs to earn $114,000 annually. $114,000 annually, which in New York City, you can't even afford almond milk on $114,000. U.S. foreclosures are up 14%. Billionaire wealth surged 3 times faster in 2024. AI is replacing entry-level jobs. AI CEOs warn we could have 10 to 20% unemployment within 5 years. I would say it's going to be higher than that. Mortgage applications are down 34%. There's a whole lot of other stats. I read that because when I hear the corporate media covering this story, I'm sure you've heard it. Jake Tapper said it was twisted, the people out here. It's twisted that they're out here. Other mainstream media have basically said these are fanboys and fangirls. Other mainstream media have said they're supporting terrorism, murder. I don't see many of them out here actually asking you, why are you out here? I don't see many of them asking you, have you had personal health care source? I don't see many of them investigating fraud of United Healthcare, who's currently under criminal investigation. Let's not forget, United Healthcare is under criminal Department of Justice investigation. I'm not holding my breath. Anyone's going to jail. They'll get a fine because this is the United States. But what are your thoughts on, I mean, it seems to me they don't really want to examine what lies underneath this movement.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with corporate sponsors and corporate donations, and the pharmaceutical companies give an awful lot of money to media companies and politicians, and they don't want to be able to, disrupt that relationship where they've been able to have this source of income. I just feel like things are really bad right now, and last time we talked, I was talking about how my mom wasn't able to get surgery. She appealed to Anthem for a second time. They denied her. Now she has to appeal to the state of Virginia just to be able to get a surgery. She's still having mobility issues, and now I'm having my own issues with my back, and my family itself has spent thousands of dollars out-of-pocket healthcare expenses this year so far, and our policy actually reset on the 1st, which was a whole fight to, even though we had already paid thousands of dollars to, make sure
now pay the deductible
and repay the deductible. I mean, we were able to talk to someone, but it took several hours on the phone with Anthem to figure it out, and I just
sorry to interrupt you, but this is already a nightmare, and you were able to talk to a human.
Yeah.
Soon you're gonna be dealing with AI chatbots.
And something's got to change. I think that in a healthy society, you don't have CEOs being gunned down in the streets, or you don't have political activists being shot at rallies, but we aren't living in a healthy society. We are a deeply, deeply sick, physically and mentally society when you consider how we have a sick care system, how we have people who can't get preventative health care. They have to go only when they're having an emergency. So I don't know what else to say at this point.
I'd like to bring that up because obviously, whatever people thought about Charlie Kirk, I've made my thoughts clear. I don't condone killing him or anyone, but the point is, Charlie Kirk and a lot of the right-wing influencers are known for focusing on transgender, Black Lives Matter, immigrants, abortion, a lot of these cultural issues. I would call it a mass distraction campaign. I didn't hear a lot from him on this, on the fact that, we have a predatory health insurance system. But when you talk to people on the left, on the hard right, there's mass agreement on this. I remember when I covered Bernie in 2016, or Trump, I'd go to Trump rallies. I'd ask them, who's your second choice? A lot of them said Bernie. So it seems like if we could get rid of this, I think, mass distraction campaign, creating others to blame, and focus on the actual enemy, which I believe is a corrupt government, there could be a lot more unity in this country.
I think that the closest I came to experiencing any sort of solidarity as a nation, any sort of class solidarity, was the nation's reaction to the shooting of the UHC healthcare CEO. You saw people on the right, you saw people on the left, you saw Facebook Lindas, you saw Gen Z kids on Instagram and TikTok all saying the same thing, like, you know, well, he had it coming. You know, like, I think that there is no war but class war, and at the end of the day, as a middle-class New Yorker, leftist New Yorker, I have more in common with a blue-collar conservative from the Deep South than I do with a billionaire from my own city. So I just feel like when people realize that our greatest strength lies in numbers, and like obviously you can't put aside a lot of really hateful things that people have said, like when you're denying somebody's humanity, but when you're able to not, you know, have, a lot of times on the left we have this kind of like ideological perfection that we kind of strive to, and it causes a lot of people to feel iced out. Like, people make mistakes, people need to be taught to be able to learn things. So I just feel like we need to create the strongest coalition possible. There is no war but class war, and I wish that we could go back to that feeling that we had after the first couple weeks after the shooting, where people were like talking about their own experiences with their healthcare systems, and it just made me feel like a sense of community, and in a sense that we've been so like isolated for so long. Like, we just see horrors beyond human comprehension on our phone every single day. So yeah.
What's your name?
Celeste.
Thank you, Celeste. Appreciate it. Take care. And I just want to make a point before we go back to the people. You always hear, because let's not let the Democratic Party off the hook here. I mean, 2016, 2020, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay for health care? How are you going to pay for Medicare for all? Well, I didn't hear the media ask, how did they just pay to give ICE more fucking money than most other countries' militaries? I didn't hear one peep about how we're going to pay for that. Now they're talking about giving hundreds of millions of dollars more in protection for politicians, you know, CEOs after Charlie Kirk's killing. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't hear anyone asking how you're going to pay for that. It sure seems like when it's money that goes towards CEOs, politicians, war, we have unlimited money. But when it's, you know, money that could avoid a mother, a daughter having to call 17 people to, you know, get care for your back, how are we going to pay for that? It's absurd. The whole thing is absurd. And I think there was a film that came out recently, or a documentary called Modern Mafia, the healthcare system, which was actually kicked off Amazon, which tells you everything you need to know. It was a deep dive documentary on the for-profit fraudulent health insurance system. It was by one of the people involved was a father whose 22-year-old son. I interviewed him. I think his son's name was Colt, if I'm remembering it right. 22-year-old son had asthma, had it in Advair for his asthma attacks. But when he went to the pharmacy, the Advair had gone up like $400 or $500, and he just left because he couldn't afford it. Well, a couple of days later had a severe asthma attack. Died, 22 years old. All over his Advair, asthma, which asthma is very common around the country, went up hundreds of dollars. And that father, along with some others, created a documentary examining the fraudulent, predatory, mafia-esque, because what is the mafia other than unnecessary middleman? Huge, fraudulent, you know, price gouging and inflation of contracts, you know, garbage services making millions of dollars, basically making the point that the for-profit health insurance industry is one giant mafia, and that was removed from Amazon and several other platforms, which I think tells you pretty much everything you need to know. So smash the like button, share this live stream. Give me a minute. I just want to see if anything's online about this terrorism charge being dropped. People are still here. The attorney's coming out. Smash the like button, share this live stream. Oh, that's Luigi Mangione's attorney. So let me get up there to show him. Get the microphone there.
Do you have a message for the fans from Luigi? Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's Mangione's lead attorney, Karen Agnifilo Friedman. She used to be very high up, number 2 in the New York District Attorneys. John, let's go over there. We're going to see if she's going to talk to the press over here. Hold on. She might be talking to press over here. I'm not sure, so I'm just going to walk over there just in case. My guess is she's probably not going to talk to press, but I just want to make sure. Smash the like button, share this live stream. Super chats are very, very much appreciated. And
It's like they're talking to the press.
okay.
Thing, how's he doing? What about his mail? So we're hearing that he's getting the most mail of any inmate, past or present.
Karen, you successfully convinced the judge.
You're very persuasive. Would you mind stepping and making a parting so that we can walk away from here? Would that be okay with you?
Okay. Well,
thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah. John. Yeah, so they're not talking to the press, so I'm not going to waste my time. Hold on. Farina. John. John. John.
My dad's on a ventilator. I'm not a criminal. Fuck you. My dad's on a ventilator.
She's not talking. So, yeah, the press was kind of like trying to corner her, but they're not talking, so. But I want to reset for a second so I know what's going on, because I was just hearing it secondhand, and then we'll go back to talk to people. Hold on. All right, so the Associated Press reporting the terrorism charge was dropped. Other charges still there. Judge will rule on federal and state charges if they'll stay. All right, so the terrorism charges dropped, which is the main takeaway. And that's important, the terrorism charge being dropped, because as I said from the beginning, I mean, to me, this case is much bigger than just Luigi Mangione. And if they could charge him with terrorism, then you could basically stretch that definition to charge any suspect who allegedly murders anyone, which is very dangerous. And again, there have been mass shooters in America who have not been charged with terrorism. So let me see if I can interview some other folks. Hey, can I interview you? Sure. Hey, Jordan with Status Coup. So tell me, we've had it confirmed that the terrorism charge was... Nope. We've had it confirmed that the terrorism charge was dropped. I always... Terrorism charge was dropped. I always thought that was very, very dangerous for the broader society, because you start charging people who are alleged with individual crimes. I mean, they could broaden that out pretty much to anyone. There have been mass shooters who were not charged with terrorism. And in New York in particular, it's usually reserved for like serial killers. Tell me about the significance of the terrorism charge being dropped.
I mean, so many times when you want to convict someone of something, you overblow the charges, right, to try and like scale up, and then you can like fall back a little bit. But even that was ridiculous, as you said. This is one of the few places in the country that has actually experienced what we consider terrorism. So to charge him with that, and he's an innocent man, by the way, to charge him with that is a slap in the face of everyone who survived the 9/11 attacks. And we're also in the middle of committing a genocide, which is terroristic in its own nature. So once again, it's kind of a do so, don't like so mentality.
And when you say he's innocent, you say innocent until proven guilty, or you actually think there's not evidence he committed the crime?
The evidence is shoddy. He wasn't Mirandized. They did everything they could to pin this on a patsy. He has also pledged his innocence, and I believe him.
And, you know, something that I've been following the case closely, you know, following the court motions, this and that. I mean, even if he is convicted, they have a really good case on appeal. I mean, they accidentally were eavesdropping on his lawyer's conversations with him. Accidentally, 120 pages of his medical records were released to the lawyers who say they didn't look at it. There's been so many abnormalities, which I think are not abnormalities, that a good lawyer on appeal, it seems that for 16 to 17 minutes when they arrested him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. They didn't Mirandize him. They went through his belongings without a warrant. So there seems like a lot of things that if it was, other suspects, it could get thrown out. Obviously, we're expecting the trials, plural, because there's a federal case, to start in 2026. But how do you how do you get this back in the national spotlight? Because after the initial burst of coverage, and all the craziness going on with Trump and other things, the media has basically stopped covering this.
The media has stopped covering this, but I think that we now, especially this generation or this level of people, don't rely on the media to actually do accurate reporting. We rely on each other to tell each other what's going on via social media, and that's where we've been getting a lot of our news. So maybe it's left the spotlight of being on the television, but that's not how the majority of us get our news anyway. We get it all on our cell phone, and it hasn't left that. So if you're plugged into the community, and if you're involved in any struggle, sort of tangentially, you're still getting Luigi Mangione news, because healthcare is an issue in the United States of America. It's not going away.
And I was just saying earlier that healthcare costs are expected to rise even more next year by 9%. Employers are going to see a 9% increase, which they're going to move on to their employees. We're already seeing Trump gutting Medicaid, AI gutting jobs. So if Medicaid's being cut and AI is replacing jobs, what are people going to do when they lose their jobs, which are tied to employment, and they're losing their Medicaid? Seems to me that would lead to more desperation, more angry, and potentially more violence.
Well, this is a coercive system, right? Because Medicare is needed by anyone. It's needed by a baby. It's needed by disabled people. It's needed by people that don't work. So first of all, tying it to your employment status is harmful. It's going to hurt a lot of people. And yeah, it's only going to get worse. It's with AI replacing everything and people not being able to find work and it being tough as it is, I could only see the frustration growing exponentially. And maybe this is the first step in us really examining it critically with all the attention on this case, with all the support out here, because like we said, he's innocent, but this is also about how predatory the healthcare system is. Maybe we'll actually begin to look at it with a serious eye and change the way that we do it in this country after this case.
What's your message to, I know you mentioned who cares about mainstream media, but they're obviously very powerful in terms of the status quo in this country. You've had CNN anchors like Jake Tapper call people out here. It's twisted that they're out here. I'm sure he would label you wearing the hat twisted. They've said you're fanboys, you're fangirls, supporting murder. Doesn't seem to be a lot of examination of why you are out here, what you folks have personally gone through yourselves, your family, in terms of healthcare horror stories. What's your message when they try to paint a broad brush over people who support him? Or, there's people here who are agnostic on him and are just out here for healthcare reform. What's your message to the politicians who have, said bad things, and the media?
The same people, it brings that kind of biblical statement. It's like you look at the fleck in my eye and ignore the plank in your own. Thank you so much. Where they're the same people that are saying that we're idolizing him and that we're fanboys or fangirls also seem to have a cult-like allegiance to certain political figures. So it's kind of like a I'm rubber, you're glue situation. But I would say that once again, this isn't about idolizing a specific person. This is about the predatory healthcare system and the lie that's told that if it's for profit, there will somehow be benefits to the American people. You can say what you want about Luigi. You can say what you want about the people that are out here. You can try to, change and misdirect. But the fact of the matter is this doesn't work for the majority of people. It works for a small minority of people who profit off of this, and the rest of us are sick of this. I'm not saying I incite violence, but I'm not going to condemn it. And I'm going to say, obviously, more and more people are going to get desperate, and we're going to see more and more acts. Crime is intrinsically linked to desperation and financial destitution. And I think 2/3 of families that declare themselves bankrupt is because of medical debt in this country. So you're creating desperation. And honestly, it's giving back-end population control. It's giving, if you're not fit to work, if you're not able to get up and do these 8 16-hour days, that you should drop dead.
And I want to also bring up the fact, in a recent court motion, we've been following kind of the prosecution motions, the defense motions. They're basically, I'm talking about the federal government now, they're basically trying to link Mangione to any mass shooting. There was recently a mass shooting in New York City in July. A man traveled, I believe, from Nevada to NFL headquarters, shot up a few people. It seemed to be linked to he played football.
No, it was the Blackstone.
Yeah, the Blackstone. But by the reports, he was targeting the NFL headquarters, but took a wrong turn. I don't really know. But in the motion, The federal prosecutors say the targeted attack occurred against the backdrop of an increasingly volatile threat environment in the U.S. amid ongoing concerns over the targeting of and violent threats persistently aimed at prominent political figures, CEOs, public officials, and other dignitaries. These individuals likely remain vulnerable at open-air speaking engagements and public events, which have been targeted by malicious actors seeking to advance political or ideological agendas. And then they mentioned that the shooter in that case, let me get his name, Shane Tamura, basically saying that he was inspired by Mangione with no evidence. And they've said in the court motion that it happened a few blocks away from the I mean, basically they're just coming up with shit out of their ass. But it seems to me the terrorism charge initially and now saying anyone who potentially does a mass shooting is somehow inspired by Luigi Mangione.
They didn't say mass shooting. What they said is a targeted shooting. So we have mass shootings all the time, and that's kind of the point that I want to bring it up, is that, yes, there is a climate of escalated animosity towards prominent political figures or CEOs, but that animosity is already down here at the working class. It's more like a welcome to the party. Oh, you feel uncomfortable now? That's how the rest of us feel. You could drop dead at any time because of causes beyond your control. That's how the rest of us feel. So it's really interesting that they try to say that this is making this dangerous for us. It's dangerous for us and us CEOs with our $100,000, $200,000 and our politicians with our $100,000, $200,000 a year salary. It's dangerous for the rest of us, buddy. Welcome to the real world.
You know, it's interesting. I know politicians, the media aren't big on nuance, but maybe they should start contemplating, why is there so much hate against us? Maybe we should evaluate that.
I think they know, and I think that this is misdirection. They're trying to say, no, I'm not the bad guy. You know what this is? This is like a response to abuse. Sometimes when an abuser abuses a victim, and they abuse the victim, and they abuse the victim, and they abuse the victim, and they do this and they do that, the victim will eventually rise up and go, no, enough, and push them, or do something angry or physical. And then the abuser, the initial abuser, will come back and say, okay, maybe what I did was wrong, but you're wrong too. You know, and they try to like shift the blame, and the focus is gaslighting. This is political, social gaslighting on a mass scale, but it's not working. No one's buying it.
You know, under the broader context, obviously we saw the murder of Charlie Kirk last week. Frankly, the right wing has launched a cancer culture crusade against anyone not sufficiently mourning him. I mean, I've been clear, I don't condone what happened. But at the same time, Kirk and the current living, right-wing influencers podcast, they focus on otherizing people.
Do you know what didn't do nothing is? Didn't do nothing? Didn't do nothing is like a hashtag, a phrase that people in that like political sphere, the like Charlie Kirks and the Fuenteses, didn't do nothing is the hashtag you put under a black man when they're killed. So under Trayvon Martin, under Eric Garner, say, oh, but he didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing. So the same people are like, you're monsters. This is abysmal. How could you say this? Had entire pages and pages and pages of victims that they have done this for.
I was bringing it up in the broader context of, I mean, I think they make a lot of profit off of creating mass distraction campaigns. It's the transgenders, it's the Muslims, it's the immigrants, it's the Black Lives Matters, it's abortion. But I saw after the murder of Brian Thompson, for the first time in 10 years doing this, I saw the left and right come together strongly against this, against the for-profit, I think, predatory, murderous health insurance companies. And it was a great thing to see. I mean, whatever you thought of what Mangione allegedly did, there was strong agreement, left, right, libertarian, all sides. Something needs to change here. But now you're seeing a mass division, right to left, over this killing. What are your thoughts on, to me, Kirk and others, whatever you think of Kirk, I condemn what happened, but they exist to distract from the material conditions on the ground here. How do we bring the left and right together like it seemed they were in agreement after this killing?
I think that you're right, and I think that was one of the most powerful things, and I think that was one of the most dangerous things about this case for the ruling class is they thought that their base would say, you know, wrong is wrong and murder is murder, and that's not how it turned out. It actually, we unified and people agreed for once, and I think that's why the charges were so huge and why they tried to make an example of him. In terms of the divide, first of all, when it comes to Kirk, I do not condemn, but I do not celebrate, but I do not condemn. I think that, yes, when you're in that area,
I just want to zero in on that. So basically what you're saying is I don't support what happened, but I'm not losing sleep over it.
No, support is such a strong word. Like, I'm going to be neutral about that death. I'm neutral about that death publicly. People die every day. But, I've lost my train of thought on this. Charlie Kirk. When you're at that level and you have that much power and you have that much influence over people, like you said, it's distractibility politics. He's going after minorities. He's going after marginalized people. And I think that, to unify this country is going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of introspection. It's going to take a lot of people giving up privileges. Like, I'm a gay black man, and so, I'm kind of on the lower end in some areas, but in terms of manhood, for example, I have a privilege. So I need to watch out how I treat women. I need to watch my misogyny. I need to give up those privileges in order to live in a better world, right? I need to say, okay, there's some things that I'm allowed that women aren't allowed, and in order to make this equal, I need to give that up. I think doing that work is really hard. I think when you have been given the privilege in this country for a long time, it's hard to let it go because you're so attached to it culturally. And so I think that people like Kirk, who whip up this frenzy, are giving someone a reason to not do the internal work. They're saying, no, I don't have to give up my privilege. These trans people, they want the privileges going to whatever bathroom they want. I don't have to give up my privilege. It's these immigrants. They just want to come up here and use our money. And it's like, he takes the idea of self-examination off the table and gives you someone else to blame. And in a society where everything is so difficult and life is so toxic, that's very alluring.
What's your name?
Jonathan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jonathan. Smash that like button, share this live stream. Reminder, folks, as far as I know, we're the only independent outlet who's been out at every single case. The corporate media is here, but they're not talking to the people. They're standing over there just to get shots and interview the lawyer. That's it. They don't want to talk about healthcare horror stories. They don't want to talk about predatory capitalism. They don't want to talk about the weaponization of terrorism charges. They don't want to talk about anything that examines the status quo. Period. End of story. And we plan on being out here for the trials, which probably will be multiple, federal and New York State, possibly Pennsylvania. Costs a lot of money. We pay the cameraman, John, who does great work, myself, Colin, our new producer, Michelle, might be expanding beyond us. I'll have an announcement on that soon. So it's up to you. We don't have funding from United Healthcare. We don't have funding from Wall Street down the street. Our funding comes from you. So 16 cents a day is all I'm asking. That might be like, what does that matter? 16 cents a day is $5 a month. The more people we get to get off the sidelines, to get off just hashtagging and liking, and actually help build the on-the-ground justice journalism you want to see, we could expand. We could cover more of this. I've been talking to John. We wanted to go to Louisiana to cover this oil plant explosion that just happened that the mainstream media is, of course, ignoring. A lot of people are sick. You might not even know about it. Well, costs money. We want to go to Chicago, where Trump might invade next. It costs money. Want to go to Memphis, where Trump is saying he's going to dispatch the National Guard next. Costs a lot of money to keep the lights on, equipment, travel costs, etc. And frankly, the mainstream media is not doing it, but independent outlets, even ones I respect, they're not out there on the ground. That's what we bring to the table. We're covering what the corporate media exists, and we're not going to sit here and stand here and be like, murder is wrong. Yes, I think murder is wrong, but you know what else I think is wrong? A intricate, widespread, predatory, for-profit murderous system, which is the for-profit health insurance system, which the people like Jake Tapper, who call the people out here twisted, are talking in between ads from Pfizer and United Healthcare that pay his salary. That's wrong, too. So please smash the like button. Please share this live stream. Super chats are also appreciated. Let me talk to some other folks. Hey there. Can I talk to you again? Of course. So I think this is like the third time I've talked to you. We have the sign, no more death by deductibles. It's interesting because the first court case, we spoke about the terrorism charges. And you basically said, I don't know. I know a lot of people in New York. I don't know anyone that was afraid by what he allegedly did. And today those charges were dropped. Tell me what your thoughts on that are.
I'm super excited. That feels like the right call. And yeah, I was in Midtown Manhattan when that happened, when the murder happened. And I was in an office and no one bat an eye. So the fact that finally, like almost a year later, we've gotten to this point is like exciting. It feels like one small win in this case.
I think also, besides the terrorism charges, they sure have done a lot of abnormal things in this case. On my drive in here, I was hearing that there was like 4 empty rows in the court case, where the public is usually allowed in the court hearing room, but only the media was allowed. You have that recently there was motions back and forth because the prosecutors accidentally got 120 pages of his medical records, which they claimed they didn't look at. Okay. They accidentally eavesdropped on conversations he had with his lawyers. I mean, most of these things are grounds for dismissal or a mistrial, could be used on an appeal if he's convicted. But it sure seems like there's a lot of strange things happening in this particular case, including the fact, talking about the Trump administration, I mean, typically to seek the death penalty, there's a very, very complicated, thorough process that could take at least a year. The Department of Justice examining the facts before seeking the death penalty. I mean, they did it in like 5 minutes against this guy. What are your thoughts? It sure seems like this case is different and this victim seems to be different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think from the very beginning, it was like, they sort of just made up how things go. Like, it was sort of like, there are now several documentaries that are created about this trial that hasn't even happened yet. And like apparently NYPD or somebody has spoken to HBO before they've even spoken to like his lawyer. Like it's crazy.
Providing HBO with discovery evidence before the lawyer.
Yeah, that like it's unprecedented in so many ways. It's like this is an interesting case for so many reasons, but also because of the way it's been fumbled by so many people surrounding it. I think. Honestly, in some ways, I'm excited because it's like, this is so obviously, there's so many things that are illegal that are happening that, not reading his Miranda rights, so many things could be grounds for dismissal. So I hope that the judge takes those things seriously.
And there's another element, I never hear it other than the original story, credit to Wall Street Journal in this case. I mean, United Healthcare is under investigation by the Department of Justice for multiple criminal Medicare Advantage fraud, which, to be clear, is preying on the elderly, preying on seniors. They created fake sickness scores to get more money from the government. They're creating fake diagnoses for elderly people on Medicare Advantage. They're under investigation for other potentially fraudulent practices. I mean, it's the United Corporations of America. No one's going to jail. Maybe they'll get a fine, whatever. But the focus is on Luigi. I don't hear anything about the most profitable health insurance company is currently under criminal investigation. What's that about?
Yeah.
Let's assume everything you just said is true. Do you believe in murder? I don't look at it. I don't even believe.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
No.
Don't disturb my interview. Thanks. Go on.
Do you believe in capital punishment? Because I don't.
Do you? Let me ask you a question. You wanted to ask me a question, and now you're talking to her.
Anybody, even the state, and certainly not an individual, can take it upon themselves to take somebody's life. That's what he did.
Do you consider it capital murder when you deny somebody very sick, life-saving health insurance because they can't? Okay, that's great to hear.
And there are criminal laws, and this insurance companies and all the insurance companies...
There's not criminal laws against that. There's not criminal laws against that.
There should be criminal laws. And anybody in the health industry, whoever they are, insurers, PI lawyers, anybody that's denying people basic health care is horrible. They should be criminally prosecuted. They should be fined. They should be driven out of business. What they should not be, but what they should not have to suffer is murder. I don't believe in taking a life.
But okay. No, but I was about to ask, do you believe two things can be true at the same time? Because I've actually said from the beginning I don't support the alleged action. It's still alleged, but I understand. No, I mean, a lot of people here have said the same thing.
Okay, but a lot of people here do not believe he's culpable. That's the issue. Okay, we could separate out whether or not somebody should be put to death, either by the state or an individual. Let's put that to the side for the time being. My issue is that if there are people here that don't think he's culpable, that don't think he committed a wrong, I don't understand that. How can you agree with somebody summarily killing somebody? I don't believe in that. I'm against capital punishment. That's capital punishment, even though it's not by the state. So, I don't understand it. I don't understand how these people can think he's not culpable.
That's fair. I would also say there's a lot of people who don't understand it because they haven't been in the severe straits of some of the people out here. It doesn't make it right or wrong. The point is, when people are feeling so desperate and when people have been abused by the health insurance or have lost people themselves, you could become, to a certain degree, radicalized to not lose any sleep over the murder of a CEO. I mean, there is nuance in it.
Okay, you can not lose sleep over the murder of somebody. That's right. But there's an issue of where you stand in terms of is it a wrong or is it a right? And if people here are saying it's a right, what he did, I don't agree. Even if I would probably agree, I'm a lawyer, I would probably agree with 99.9% of their criticism of the insurance industry. And I would even expand it beyond the insurance industry to the legislators who take money from insurance companies to make sure they're immune from real consequences of what they do. So I would agree with probably, in terms of looking at the insurance company, with almost everything that's said, or maybe everything that's said. But where I part company is thinking that what he did is not a wrong. It is a wrong. It was a execution. It was a murder. I'm against murdering anybody. I'm against capital punishment. I'm against bombing people in Palestine. I am against murder. Period. End of the discussion. And if there are people here who think that was justified and that wasn't a wrong.
What's your name? What's your name?
William Gribben.
Thank you. Appreciate it. To be clear, he might not realize, I've interviewed a lot of folks out here. I mean, I would say 75% actually don't agree with allegedly what he did. They're not actually out here specifically. I mean, you have people with the Luigi hats and this and that, but there's a lot of people, including, I would say you, who are not out here specifically supporting murder, but out here specifically against this system, which are two different things. Anyway, I was bringing up United Healthcare. I kind of think it's a big deal that the biggest health insurance company in America is under criminal investigation for fraud, but there's virtually no attention on that.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not.
I think there's so many interests at play. I remember reading something, and now I don't recall what it was, but like that United Healthcare is suppressing these stories about that case, and because it's ongoing, and like they have a PR department that is very closely monitoring, I'm sure, the Luigi case and everything, and trying.
There's also a doctor, I believe her name is Elizabeth Potter, down in Texas. She does reconstructive surgery mostly for cancer patients, and she was called out of mid-surgery by United Healthcare because they wanted to deny an overnight stay for the cancer patient that she was doing surgery on, and she had the gall to do a TikTok video on it. It went viral. I've reached out for an interview. Hopefully she'll do it. And they sent her, a very, very high-powered law firm, a 6-page letter basically saying we're going to bankrupt you if you don't take this down. So, as you were saying, they are definitely trying to gag the opposition.
Now she's raising money as well, and she has her own defense. And I've been following her story. I think hers is a very powerful one. And I also really like, this is now totally plugging her channel, but I think people should watch those videos because she actually has phone calls with the doctors hired by insurance companies that are supposed to do peer-to-peers with her. And she actually, she videotapes those calls, and she's very patient with them, but like oftentimes, more often than not, they're not even in her specialty. And she's trying to argue for breast reconstruction surgery for breast cancer, and she's talking to like a doctor who is like an orthopedic surgeon or something. And she's like, do you even know what this procedure is? How can you even be an authority on this? It's wild. I mean, yeah.
And for those that didn't hear your story when we first talked, I recall that you were abroad. Something happened that you needed like immediate health care. Tell people what happened.
Yeah, I had appendicitis in Vietnam in 2018, and I had surgery there. Everything was totally fine. All I had to do was get my stitches out in the U.S., and the doctor in Vietnam was like, it should be not a problem. It's just stitches. You're just going to get them taken out. Any doctor can do it. I was like, okay, great. My primary physician would not see me because she didn't want to be liable for stitches, like for this surgery that was done by a different doctor. I also couldn't get seen right away. And so urgent care also wouldn't take me because of the same issue. Because they're like, we didn't do the surgery. we can't do this. Like, I'm not your doctor. And they were like, the only option is to go to the ER. And I was like, that's pretty crazy, right? To go to the ER for stitches? It's clearly not an emergency. And I went to the ER, and my bill was, I want to say, $2,300 for taking out stitches for an appendectomy. It's like not even a lot of stitches. And so, yeah, I mean, that like is such a small example of like how a really minor thing can just have such a huge impact. It doesn't have to be cancer. It doesn't have to be, life-saving care. It can be the most minor things that will just completely bankrupt people, will, take money out of their 401ks, their retirement and savings, and people pay into these systems like all their lives. And still, I actually just heard that my in-laws are paying $2,000 for Medicare and a month. And it's like, you've paid into this system your whole life. Your whole life you've already paid, right? So, like, you're still paying $2,000 a month?
Depending on your stature as a senior, you're certainly not getting that for most people off Social Security.
It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. And then, even with that, the insurance company can say, oh, you've actually hit your lifetime maximum. Like, they still have so many loopholes. The rabbit hole goes so deep, I think. Let
me ask you, I don't want to make it political, but healthcare is political, unfortunately. At a time when I think there's growing fascism in America, I mean, Trump's dispatching the Gestapo stormtroopers everywhere. Who knows? Maybe ICE will be kicking it up a notch here. National Guard is potentially going to Memphis next due to Trump, Chicago. It seems like if there was an actual opposition party, it would be a pretty good time to, propose something like single-payer health care, maybe like, a nationwide rent freeze as inflation is still stubborn, AI is replacing people's jobs. I mean, just on the AI part, what are we going to do when you're already seeing entry-level jobs cut, companies, it's a race to lay off people and use AI more? Well, if your jobs are still tied to your health care and Medicaid's also being cut, where are people going to go for health care? Nobody could afford Obamacare. So it just seems to me now would be a time if an opposition party wanted to win and have policies that appeal to both sides, because there's a whole lot of MAGA that wants universal health care. Now would be the time. I'm not hearing a peep from anyone in the Democratic Party other than the usual, like Bernie and some others.
Right. That's the thing I find most shocking about all of this is that, we have these groups of people here who have been showing up since December. And we're trying to fight for what we think is right, but I just don't hear that much about healthcare, reforming it. It is just Bernie. It's Bernie and like AOC maybe, and no one else is even talking about how do we make it more transparent? How do we show what doctors are getting, and how do we show what pharmacies are getting from insurance companies? No one is even touching it with a 10-foot pole, and I think that's part of the problem. I don't know if it's the media that basically is silencing the stories, or people are actually just they don't understand it enough to talk about it. I think that's maybe part of it, which that's unfortunate. So I'm happy to do a short one-on-one course of healthcare. Because it's not easy to understand. So,
my last question, I've asked a few others. Obviously, we're in the context. Charlie Kirk was assassinated last week. Whatever you thought of him, I've made my thoughts pretty clear. I don't condone what happened. With that said, I mean, the right wing now, even before a suspect was caught, I mean, they're on a crusade against the radical left. And I think it's pretty inarguable that Kirk and those still with us on the right that have podcasts that are influential create mass distraction campaigns. It's the transgender people. It's the immigrants. It's Black Lives Matter. It's the mailman. It's everybody but the corrupt government, everybody but the health insurance. I didn't hear any of them really talk about these things. For the first time, I mean, I've been on the ground now across America for about a decade. After Brian Thompson was killed, that was the first time I saw the left and right in broad agreement. I remember Ben Shapiro was condemning Luigi Mangione, and his audience was against it. Is there a way to get back to that, you think? Because right now it just seems like the division is widening after Kirk's killing.
Right. The Kirk killing is certainly one of those that's like a hot button topic, and no matter what you say, it feels like, you're stuck and we have this power dynamic. But I would love for the Luigi case to be something that the left and the right can come together and say, hey, murder is still wrong. We need to not deal with our problems this way. But can we now talk about a real issue? Can we not ignore this senseless act and actually come together? And I hope that media covering this will eventually spark that conversation.
Maybe we could start to examine the term murder and what qualifies as murder and what qualifies as terrorism, because I think it's a terroristic system, the for-profit health insurance system, when people could live or die based on what's in their wallet. I mean, that would terrorize the hell out of me. I mean, I have a newborn now, 2 kids. God forbid something happened and I couldn't get treatment for them. I mean, that is terror and that is our system, but it's not covered that way.
I actually have on the back here is these kids who seem to have gone through chemotherapy, and it has the deny, depose, defend slogan on it, because insurance companies don't see these as people. They don't see that this is a human life and this is someone's daughter or son. These are just claims, and they have CPT codes that they look at and diagnostics, and they don't even really look at those. And it's the system that looks at it, and it's no, this is, we have to be human. So if you're saying that we can't kill Brian Thompson, I agree, we cannot kill people. But also, what happens if Brian Thompson had a gunshot wound, went to the hospital, and they said, oh, actually, no, gunshot wounds aren't going to be covered. It's going to be only if the gunshot wound came from the West or something like that. It's they'll come up with something. And it's either by delaying the care and somehow it gets denied, but then you got to do a peer-to-peer or something, in which case if it gets delayed, they still make money because that money stays in their account and earns interest. And so the longer they delay it, that's still a win for them, even if they eventually approve it, right? So that's not, that's one of their strategies, I guess, to say, oh, well, it was approved eventually. It's no, that's still a horrible outcome for people who need care.
It was approved eventually after you missed the tumor, right, after you didn't give the MRI, so you can't walk, right, for your back or whatever else it is. So the delay, deny, I mean, you're taking years off people's life.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the thing that I wanted to get across with at least the image of the children, because, once you put a face to it, hopefully that resonates with people a bit more than, it was a murder is wrong. Yes, I get it. We are all on the same page about that, I hope, as a society. But we also have to come out here because the conversation about healthcare is not happening today. And still, I thought, almost a year ago, we were here at the courthouse and we thought, okay, this is interesting. People are really going to rally around this. And they kind of did, but I still don't see it.
What's your name again?
Elena.
Thank you, Elena. Appreciate it. Do you want to talk? I saw you standing here.
I'm actually going to preserve my energy because I have anemia, and so it's
no problem
to come out here.
Let me just show your sign then. Health over wealth with the same children there. Deny, depose over cancer patients. Thank you. Before I talk to others, I'm taking the glasses off. It's time to get a little rowdy here. We got almost 600 watching live. We're going to cut this up into, clips for TikTok and Instagram and all the ADD generation out there. I need your help, folks. Look at these bags, okay? We need your help. If you're not signed up yet as a paying Status Coup member, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. All I'm asking for is 16 cents a day. That's $5 a month. Now, if you don't have $5 a month, I understand. I don't, no shame. Times are tough for everyone. But if you got $5 a month, we also have, you could sign up at $10 a month, $20 a month. We have other plans. But $5 a month, there is, everybody and their mother and their dog is a content creator now. Everybody and their mother and their dog is an influencer, okay? Most of them are just bloviating out of their assholes in a studio or their mother's basement. God bless them all. We are on the ground, and we've been on the ground. We're now 7 years old this month, okay? And we have done it scratching pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters together, okay? We have been all over this country covering worker exploitation, covering the controlled demolition of what's left of the middle class, covering environmental genocide and corporate sacrifice zones. Many of you watching might not even know there was just a massive oil plant explosion in Louisiana that we've been covering. It's a mini BP oil spill. Shocker, the EPA and the state officials are saying nothing to see here as animals are dying and school children are going to school awash in oil. We broke that story last week. There's oil all over this school that school children are in, and people are getting sick with bloody noses, breathing problems, skin burning, headaches, nausea. We want to get out there to cover these stories, but there's only me, John, we have a producer, Michelle, Colin, our editor. I'm trying to hire another reporter, but we're a small team, and I got to pay people and keep the lights on, and we do not have funding by United Healthcare. Gladly do not have funding by United Healthcare, Goldman Sachs, the Living Koch brother, the Waltons, any of the usual suspects. We don't take their money. We don't want their money. But I am not the federal government, and I cannot print money out of my behind, so I need you to fund us. So the more people that sign up, $5 a month, the more we can grow. And with no disrespect, because there's a lot of other independent outlets that I like, we're the only ones on the ground. Guerrilla journalism, guerrilla justice journalism. There's some that do it occasionally. We're the only ones constantly out there. This handsome cameraman behind me has covered nearly 200 anti-genocide, pro-Palestine protests in New York City, D.C., Chicago, L.A., okay? And we've covered it even when the views are down, even when it's not going viral, even when the focus is turned to something else because it's the right fucking thing to do. But it's expensive, takes resources just to go on one trip somewhere. It costs $2 to $3 grand. And we want to cover the trial, the federal trial against Mangione, the state trial against Mangione. There might be a trial in Pennsylvania, too. That's going to cost money to be out here every day. So please, I am not beyond begging the proletariat. Please support us. If we could start stacking it up. Right now we have about 3,600 paying members, which is nothing to sneeze at. We got to get that number to 5,000. Then we got to target 10,000. We're also almost at 500,000 YouTube subscribers, which is awesome. I think we're almost at 499,000. So if you're not subscribed, that's free. Subscribe right now. Hit that button. Also click the bell and choose all notifications so you get all notifications. We're also trying to grow on our Instagram and TikTok. You know, I'm a kind of a boomer at this point with those platforms, but those are, taking footage from our live streams, from our in-depth on-the-ground reporting, cutting it down for, short-form stuff. So definitely subscribe to our Instagram, our TikTok, and our Substack. You can subscribe there for free. That's StatusCoupSubstack.com. But most importantly, please, I am truly, sincerely asking, if you can spare 16 cents a day, that's $5 a month, StatusCoup.com/join. You can become a member for 16 cents a day. And if you're already a member, we always appreciate going that extra mile with a super chat or a donation. StatusCoup.com/donate. StatusCoup.com/donate. It makes a huge, huge difference. And your super chats are very, very much appreciated. All right, let's see what else is going on here. There's still people out here. I don't know if you showed this, John, but there's a wheel. How you doing? So they got kind of a wheel of healthcare misery. So approved but, approved but, approved but, approved but, denied, 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 approved but. So tells you everything. Can I ask you about this? Of course. So tell me about the inspiration behind this. I'd call it a wheel of healthcare misery.
Yeah, we call it the Wheel of Denials. The artist is actually right here behind. I'm just kind of support here.
Oh, you're the artist? Okay.
Yes. But, so this is actually modeled after the real statistics for denials versus approvals in the healthcare industry. And we really obviously wanted to highlight with a visual that it's such a game of chance that we're playing with people's lives. And, a lot of cases here, like I have a card here, $850,000 for a double lung transplant, and this is a real case here that happened to somebody. Not everybody, most people don't have $850,000 lying around, so the choices are either pass away or go into crushing medical debt, and that's the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States, so that really gets us out here and moving, when 45,000 people die a year because they can't afford it.
And I also want to point out, because, you know, it's kind of, it's getting more focus in recent years. The mental health aspect of this stress, $850,000 for this treatment. Imagine having to choose, you know, am I going to go bankrupt to save my life or my kid's life or my mother's life? The stress of having to be on the phone. I mean, I think I tore my quad, which is nothing compared to that. I think I tore my quad muscle. I was on the phone 2 days ago for literally 45 minutes trying to just find out where I could get a fucking x-ray or MRI. And you're talking about a double lung transplant. For $850,000. So people are getting so stressed, so depressed, so anxious, and suicidal in some cases.
And as well, you know, same situation. And then if you need to help with that, you need to see if they'll cover a therapist. You need to afford a therapist, you know, or a psychiatrist, a psychologist. So it all goes back again to the same system where we're playing with people's lives, their wellness, their happiness. And it's, you know, a universal healthcare system has been shown to be more affordable for everyone. Government, individual person, the only one who, you know, and you know, the only one who really doesn't like it is private healthcare companies, of course. But you know, it really goes to begs the question, you know, when we have 45,000 people dying a year and it's cheaper for most people, you know, why don't we have it?
And I also think that statistic often is thrown around, but it's misleading because it's the acute deaths of how many people die a year, but also how many people's lives are being shortened. How many lives per year are being shortened in this country because they miss a mammogram. They, you know, miss preventative treatment. They miss preventative treatment because of the price tag, this and that, or the stress, or they just choose not to go to the doctor and, you know, roll the dice.
Right. Even delays. You know, 8%. There was a study done that 8% of doctors said that prior authorizations have led to severe adverse health event for their patients. That could be permanent disability as well, or, you know, just very, you know, shortened quality of life. So these are very real things, you know, even if you don't pass away, it's not going to be, you know, great quality of life either.
For you, do you have a personal story or somebody in your family, loved ones, where you kind of dealt with a healthcare horror story?
Yeah, I mean, I have honestly plenty. I have, you know, from both sides. I have family members who are in the healthcare industry. I also have family members who, you know, are chronic patients who are always in and out of the hospital. I actually had an aunt recently who, you know, she has heart issues, and she almost, you know, she had a lot of close scares because they didn't think it was necessary for her to stay in acute physical therapy. They let her go early. She was back in the hospital in 2 weeks, and she was this close to passing away if we didn't advocate for the doctors to give her more, you know, for her to get more attention, for her to get more care. And I think even as well, doctors are getting more anxiety because they know that they're not the only elephant in the room when it comes to deciding their patient's care. I have, you know, the other side, you know, I have family members with a lot of anxiety of, okay, even if I decide this for my patient, I can't put this in because the insurance is going to deny it. So what's something I could get that's affordable for my patient? Now doctors are taking on this stress as well. And you even, you know, it's heartbreaking.
There's also another component, because you're not the first person I talked to today that mentioned, like, you know, if we didn't step in and advocate this and that, we wouldn't have got the care. But that's in a system where you could actually talk to humans. Now they're trying to change. Now there's bills being pushed by Republicans to basically let AI write the prescriptions for medication rather than doctors. We already see chatbots for everything. I mean, you call the cable company, you deal with a chatbot. Now healthcare, good luck. I mean, they're going to replace a lot of the healthcare people, which is already a pain in the ass to deal with AI. So, I mean, I'm somebody, I make a living on YouTube. It's very hard to get a human being from YouTube. You usually have to go through an automated system to appeal things, this and that. But that's YouTube. We're talking about life or death here. So, I mean, United Healthcare was using AI at a 90% error rate. So talk about kind of like pretty soon you're going to be dealing more with systems and AI bots rather than humans.
Right. I mean, I think that's something as well. You know, I think it's for something with a 90% error rate as well, of course. You know, it almost feels like a lack of accountability and responsibility. You know, it's a lot easier to say, oh, our robot, you know, made a mistake. That's why your $1 million surgery was denied. And you know, and another reason to delay having a human, you know, enter this case and, you know, speaking to them and reasoning with them, just really delaying the inevitable. And, you know, you see corporations across the country, a lot of cutting corners, but obviously this is an industry where cutting those corners is legitimately a life or death. So you're right. It's something of grave concern to everyone.
And my last question, you know, I think the media has painted a broad, simple brush over people out here. I saw Jake Tapper say it's twisted that people are out here supporting him. A lot of others have painted it as fangirls, fanboys, people who support murder. At the end of the day, I mean, the economic conditions of this country are getting worse and worse. More people are working multiple jobs, AI replacing jobs, people in debt. I mean, I just read a statistic that, like, the medium priced home now is $114,000. Whether people agree with it or not, don't these conditions typically breed more desperation and more violence?
No, 100%. Violence is usually a condition of something wrong. And, you know, nobody really wants to condone violence. Nobody's saying violence is right. But, you know, when people are very desperate and you're in a system that gives you no legal recourse of really fighting these injustices, especially when, you know, such crucial aspects of people's lives are involved. You know, it's not unheard of to hear that people get so desperate that, you know, they do things that, you know, it's not very easy. It's not as easy to really say they're in black and white, you know?
Thank you very much. What's your name? You don't have to give it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No, I understand. I love the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, we've been out here from the beginning. The first court case was in December of 2024 when there were you remember that? There was 5 timid people across the street because the media was already shaming anyone who came out here appearing to support Mangione, just like right now, just like the media and the politicians are out there, you know, tone policing anyone that doesn't, you know, dutifully mourn Charlie Kirk. The bottom line is you could condemn violence, which I would say 75% of the people I've interviewed, and we've been out here for 4 or 5 of the court cases, you could condemn violence, but bigger than that, condemn the violent system. 2 things could be true at once. You know, Brian Thompson, I don't know him, I feel for his family, but he was just another dime a dozen, you know, corporate monster. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He made his living depriving others of their life, and they knew that's what they were doing. And it's not just him; it's a dime a dozen industry. Charlie Kirk, I condemn what happened to him. I condemn targeting and political violence, but he was just another dime a dozen grifter. And there's a lot of them on the right and the liberal side who make a living. They don't know very much, but basically stoking political tribalism, stoking animosity against each other, creating distractions and divisions, making us hate each other rather than educating people on who is the real person responsible for your economic struggle, for your social struggle, for the potholes in your street, for the debt you have hanging over you. They create an other, okay? And at the end of the day, I think it's the job of the media to tell the truth and to go beneath the surface. You know, it's easy to just do clickbait constantly. It's easy to just do clickbait and to create divisions and to put on your blue hat or team red hat and just basically treat politics as a sport. And it's very profitable, by the way, to do that. We'd make a lot more money if I was just like a Democratic Party hack or a MAGA guy. And, you know, I've had the opportunities to do that. We have grown at a less quick pace doing actual on-the-ground investigative journalism. We have grown at a much less rapid pace, staying on stories that are no longer trending, that are no longer breaking. You know, the Luigi Mangione story was breaking almost a year ago. It hasn't been breaking recently. The media hasn't been covering the court motions, the back and forth in the criminal cases before the trial. I have. I don't think I've missed one court filing because I think it's important, and I think it's beyond. I don't think it's just about Luigi Mangione. I think it's bigger than Mangione, and I think that's why people are out here. Sure, maybe some think he's hot or whatever, but that's a small percentage of people who are out here for a greater purpose, which is against a predatory, murderous system. And the good news is, I think, about a decade ago, if you remember, the Underdog Bernie campaign came out and Medicare for All kind of hit the scene, right? It became a popular term. But you had, Democratic Party, Hillary in that case, and the media pushing this propaganda. Oh, people don't want to lose their sacred, private health care and they want a choice. Well, I don't think that propaganda is going to fly anymore in a Democratic primary. I don't think that propaganda is going to fly coming from the media. Because this is what you get with private health insurance. You get, you're being preyed on. You get seniors on Medicare being preyed on. You get families being preyed on. You get, a unnecessary mafioso middleman. And you get, the largest source of debt and bankruptcy in this country are medical bills. All to go to an unnecessary middleman who shouldn't exist. So we're going to stay on this story. Again, the breaking news today is at least the terrorism charge was dropped. I would say, we don't know for sure. I don't think they set a trial date yet for the New York state case, but I would expect the federal case to go first because we have I believe, fascistic president and his, sycophantic attorney general who want to make an example out of Mangione, and they want the federal case to go first because they're seeking the death penalty, which is also pretty unprecedented. To remind you, there have been mass shooters who killed upwards of 20 people who did not get the death penalty. The Parkland shooter, the Parkland school shooter did not get the death penalty. A shooter who shot up people in El Paso at a Walmart did not get the death penalty. They're trying to get the death penalty on Mangione, saying that he's trying to influence mass violence, for which there's no evidence of, by the very own stuff that they leaked to the media. The prosecutors leaked to the media. They leaked his so-called manifesto, which at this point is alleged. But in that manifesto, he said, I decided to do a targeted killing because I didn't want to risk innocents getting killed. I don't know many terrorists whose objective is to not kill more. Terrorism, they want to kill as many people as possible. So at the end of the day, the media, they'll cover this. And CNN and others will continue to paint people out here, the supporters, as fanboys, fangirls, supporters of murder. They have gold-plated health care, the people saying that. Chris Cuomo, for example, used to be a CNN anchor. I think he's on News Nation now. But he said, I might sue, I forget the health insurance company, because they're denying surgery for one of my kids. But, I could afford it. I could afford to pay it. So at least he was open that he has that privilege. Most people do not. Most people do not. And the bottom line is, too many abnormal things have been normalized in this country due to a corporate media system that exists to prop up the status quo. That's why, if you don't know, that's why we created the name Status Coup, to overthrow journalistically the status quo. But it is not normal in most other countries to have a for-profit health insurance industry. There are private components, but the government typically, as just a right of being a citizen, usually provides health insurance. And you know what? You pay a little bit more in taxes and you get a lot more back. It's not normal. This system is not normal. I wish Bernie, when he ran in 2016 and 2020, would have said, no, you're the radicals. You, Hillary, are the radicals. You, Biden, are the radicals. This is a radical system. Every other country considers this crazy and radical. But we're here now. So, can I interview you? Okay. So, bottom line, we're going to stay on this. I really hope as many of you as possible will support us. Again, you don't see it now, but we're coming up on 2026. It's already mid-September. My birthday's in 4 days, so if you want to get the party started early, statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as 16 cents a day. I'll keep hitting that. 16 cents a day. As a member, we do monthly members calls on like a Zoom-like program, so you get to ask questions, comments. We give you behind-the-scenes content from on the ground, and you get merchandise discounts too. So we'll shut it down now. But again, the terrorism charges were dropped. As per usual, we're one of the last ones standing here. Most of the media have left. Thank you for watching. We're going to cut this up for TikTok, Instagram. Reminder, go sign up. Even if you're not like big on those platforms, it helps us. Subscribe to our Instagram, subscribe to our TikTok. Definitely subscribe to our Substack, StatusCoup, And if you can, you could also donate. StatusCoup.com/donate. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you back here next time.